We have a winter weather advisory for some of our eastern counties. We'll talk about the snow that we could see tonight and the bitter cold we'll see this morning.
Preparing for the cold. Why Duke Energy officials say keeping your thermostat turned down some today could help you in the long run.
Pardons for Capitol rioters. Over 1,000 criminal defendants will now walk free.
This took an immense amount of time doing these investigations.
And we will hear from a retired North Carolina judge about the massive investigation into the attack. One day after the inauguration here on your Tuesday, 4:30 is the time right now. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu, and today is WRAL Weather Alert Day. Let's get you up to speed on this rare coastal winter storm. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with what we're expecting.
It's the opposite of what we normally see, but the low that's producing the moisture will be sitting offshore, spreading it back inland. So the closer you are to the coast, the heavier those snowfall totals will be. In our eastern counties, from Rocky Mount to Wilson to Goldsboro to Clinton to Fayetteville, we could see up to 1.5 inches. It's not a promise of 1.5 inches, but up to 1.5 inches. And then the rest of the viewing area could see somewhere between 0.5 inch to 1 inch, especially from Durham to Warrenton southward and eastward. You know, 0.5 inch of snow doesn't sound like a lot, but it could definitely cause a lot of problems tonight and into tomorrow. What we're seeing as you're heading out the door, our cold weather advisory for everyone. Wind chill single digits up to maybe 13 degrees. That's what you'll feel this morning as you're heading out the door. This is a look at our current wind chills. We're already down to 6 in South Hill, 14 in Roxborough, 13 in Fayetteville, 12 in Southern Pines, and those will likely drop as we get through the day. Hour by hour wind chill likely to be in the low teens this morning, and then it'll feel like mid to upper 20s for this afternoon. We take a look at Carolina Beach there, and of course they're one of the spots that could see some snow later this afternoon and evening. 21 is our temperature right now with a northeast wind at 3 miles per hour. Our temperatures this morning will be in the teens, and our high this afternoon only in the low 30s. Coming up, we're going to walk you through your futurecast and show you what time the snow could start where you are.
And that extreme cold is affecting Wake County schools this morning. It's a teacher workday for most, but schools that are in session are delayed 2 hours. Other school systems are canceling after-school activities and events, including Cumberland County, Wilson County, and Johnston County after 5 p.m.
NCDOT crews are busy preparing roads around the Triangle for another round of winter weather. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from the DOT maintenance yard in Raleigh. And Laura, they are telling drivers to take precautions ahead of this Arctic blast.
Renee, good morning. These DOT crews have been hitting the roads for the last 24 hours, racing the clock to prepare for that winter weather moving in. We're feeling it this morning, the really frigid temperatures. Taking a look at this video, you can probably have already noticed some of that brine on the roads. The DOT says crews started brining the roads Sunday night in Wake and Durham counties with a heavy focus on interstates 40 and 540. But this storm is presenting some challenges to DOT crews that the last storm didn't. The frigid temperatures this week are something they're focused on because the brine will lower the freezing temperature on the road to about 18 degrees. But with temperatures expected to hit single digits overnight, they have to be strategic in how they prep certain roads.
In particular concern is the cold temperatures coming in afterwards, or in advance and afterwards. So having a little protection out there on the roads in case it slides a little further west than currently forecast, we'll be prepared and put our best foot forward when we start this.
So McNeil there, that DOT engineer, he says that his crews are responsible for prepping I-40 in Durham, Franklin, and Wake counties all the way to the Johnston County border. Meanwhile, we also know that this has really caused Wake County Public Schools to have a 2-hour delay this morning, not only because of the cold temperatures, but also so that they can assess some school buildings and make sure that they are working properly for their students to be in school today. Laura Levine, WRAL News, we're live in Raleigh.
Duke Energy is alerting customers about days of freezing weather throughout the Carolinas and an increase in energy use. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from Duke Energy headquarters in downtown Raleigh. And Kelsey, these people are asking folks to help reduce the strain by keeping their thermostats down. Tell us about this.
Yes, Jeff, crews here with Duke Energy are going to be up early this morning working. They're preparing for higher energy use and the possibility of some outages. We'll show you some video now. You may remember receiving this notice from Duke Energy last night, alerting customers about freezing temperatures this week and its impact on energy use. Now we'll show you some video from back in December 2022. That's the last time we had a cold snap like this. And you can see crews there working to restore power. Jeff Brooks from Duke Energy says customers should bump down their thermostat a few degrees this week. That will help save energy and lessen the strain on the power grid.
We typically see our peak usage in the early morning hours from about 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the winter. That's different than the summer when it's more in the evening. So even the style of usage changes in the winter, and that's something that we have to prepare for so that we can reliably meet those energy needs.
And you heard Elizabeth talk about how cold it will be over these next couple of days. So if you want more information about how to keep your house warm, just go to our website, WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
This afternoon, Governor Josh Stein will give an update on the state's preparations for winter weather. He'll join emergency management officials at the National Guard Armory in Greensboro at 3 p.m. And you can watch their briefing live on WRAL.com.
All major airports and schools will be closed today in Houston, Texas, as the winter storm moves across the state. Starting at midnight, all flights at George Bush Intercontinental Airport and Hobby Airport were suspended. Some areas could see up to 4 inches of snow, but ice is a real concern. It could cause widespread power outages and dangerous road conditions.
So you want to plan ahead and be ready for potentially dangerous weather with the WRAL News app. Turn on alerts to get notified in your location. It's free wherever you download your apps.
Covering Wake County, today we'll get an update about how the school system plans to adjust its budget to close a funding gap. The school system is facing unexpected costs as well as higher than expected enrollment, and that's forcing Wake schools to spread money thinner than usual. It's also dealing with the deficit in school meals, which is complicated by the loss of pandemic stimulus funding. The Wake School Board will meet at 5:30 this evening.
Civil rights and immigration rights groups are suing the Trump administration over an executive order. It seeks to end birthright citizenship in the U.S. The American Civil Liberties Union, various state ACLU chapters, and several other groups filed the suit. It argues President Trump's action violates federal law and the U.S. Constitution. The groups are asking a federal court in New Hampshire to declare Trump's order unlawful and to block it.
President Trump issued pardons for roughly 1,500 criminal defendants charged in the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol. Others had sentences commuted, including convicted felon and leader of the extremist group, the Proud Boys, Joseph Biggs. He was supposed to spend more than 15 years in prison. More than 140 officers were injured during the attack, which aimed to stop the peaceful transfer of power in 2020. We asked retired Judge Carl Fox about the pardons. He says they are concerning for the ones accused of assaulting officers.
It's horrifying to watch. I still can see that in my mind right this moment. And, those folks are more disturbing. The folks who had the most serious charges are more disturbing to me than the folks with disorderly conduct and unlawful injury charges.
Trump called those he pardoned hostages. According to a list WRAL has compiled, more than 40 defendants from our state were charged for various crimes during the riot, including assaulting police.
Chris Levingood here in the WRAL Live Center. Renee, I was actually looking at the official list from the White House just moments ago, and it turns out that a top lieutenant to the Proud Boys who is from North Carolina was there. Jeremy Bertino, in fact, pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy for his actions before and during the January 6th Capitol riot. That happened on October the 6th of 2022. He also pleaded guilty to a charge of unlawful possession of a firearm and was actually the first member of the Proud Boys to plead guilty to seditious conspiracy. We're going to keep on looking for that list to see if there's others, but at least that particular name stood out to me here in the WRAL Live Center.
Thanks, Chris. This morning, Marco Rubio will be sworn in as Secretary of State. The Senate voted to confirm him last night. Rubio is the former Republican senator from Florida. He becomes the first cabinet official for the new Trump administration to be Senate approved. Rubio's nomination to become Secretary of State was overwhelmingly bipartisan. He called it a great honor to be confirmed by his former colleagues.
Ohio State and Notre Dame squared off to crown a new national champion for college football. After the Fighting Irish scored first, the Buckeyes put the next 31 points onto the board last night. Notre Dame made a game of it with 16 points in the second half, but it was too little too late. Ohio State won the game 34-23. It's the first time the Buckeyes have won the national championship since 2014.
20 minutes before 5 right now on your Tuesday, a missing mother and son. The search for more than 6 months now after their disappearance.
We've been doing our own investigation, like talking to people ourselves.
The concerns from family members who say updates from police have been few and far between.
Remain on high alert. The warning from officials in Los Angeles this morning as another round of strong winds could fan the wildfires.
And we'll give you this live look in Durham. Good morning to the Bull City. It's a WRAL weather alert day. Who is seeing the worst of this cold and who sees a little bit of light snow accumulation tonight?
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
4:44 today is a WRAL weather alert day for wintry precipitation, which is really going to be all snow, and for cold temperatures too. So our winter weather advisory, Fayetteville, Clinton, Goldsboro, Wilson, Rocky Mount. In this area, we'll likely see an inch to an inch and a half, and we could see maybe up to half an inch even in the Triangle area. All of that is going to cause some problems for us because it's so cold. Once the snow starts, it is going to start to stick on roads, and it's going to be an issue for us tonight and into tomorrow for sure. We also have the cold weather advisory. Our dew points are cold enough. Our wind is blowing out there. Take a look at our wind chill right now is 6 in South Hill, 14 in Roxborough, 13 in Fayetteville. That may drop even more as we head through the morning. So stay tuned as we talk more about our winter weather approaching.
Thanks, Elizabeth. The mayor of Los Angeles is warning people to be on high alert as another round of dangerous winds increases the fire risk once again. The Santa Ana winds could bring gusts up to 75 miles an hour to mountainous areas near LA. Those gusts combined with low humidity and drought conditions could cause new fires. At least 27 people have died in the Southern California fires that started January 7th. Thousands of homes have been destroyed.
A U.S. Border Patrol agent is dead after a shootout near the Canadian border in Vermont. The FBI says the shootout happened on Interstate 91, about 20 miles from the border. The suspect was also killed in that shooting. A second suspect was injured and taken into custody. The FBI has not released any additional details about what happened. It says there is no ongoing threat to the public.
The Holly Springs police chief talked to WRAL about how his officers chased 3 people suspected of trying to break into cars. The chase ended early Sunday morning when an SUV flipped on its roof. This is one of 2 stolen vehicles tracked down by officers. An adult and 2 juveniles were taken to the hospital. Police found a gun and ammunition along with other stolen property inside both vehicles.
We really want to emphasize to not only in the Holly Springs community, but in the region, is that people need to lock their doors. We know many of them feel safe in their own communities, but it's really a great preventive measure.
Chief Paul LaCourie says the adult in this case is facing charges. The 2 teens will go through the juvenile justice process.
An immigration bill inspired by the murder of nursing student Laken Riley is one step closer now to becoming law. The Republican-led bill passed the Senate yesterday. It would require the Department of Homeland Security to detain undocumented migrants who are charged with crimes, including theft and burglary. It's named after Laken Riley, who was killed by an undocumented migrant from Venezuela last year. The House is expected to pass the bill later this week. It would then go to President Trump to sign into law.
Confirmation proceedings for 2 of President Donald Trump's key cabinet nominees are moving to the full Senate. The Senate Armed Services Committee voted along party lines to advance Pete Hegseth's nomination as Secretary of Defense. The Intelligence Committee also voted to advance John Ratcliffe's nomination as CIA Director. It's unclear when the full Senate will vote on confirming either nominee.
Loved ones of a Northampton County woman want answers. We first told you about this case in July after 26-year-old Sharbrina McGee and her 3-year-old son were reported missing. Today, her family and friends say they are no closer to finding them. They say they haven't heard from McGee since May. Police in the town of Jackson say McGee was living on Atherton Street when she disappeared. Her friends say they're frustrated because police are not keeping them updated on the search.
I feel like they should update us every 30 days for real, to see what your whereabouts, to see what's going on. And the fact that it's a baby and a mother involved, this shouldn't be something that y'all let up off of.
Jackson Police Chief Brenda Burnett says investigators are actively following leads and working with authorities to try to find McGee and her son.
You have 2 more days to drop off items for the Kids Exchange consignment sale in Raleigh. Parents can drop off top quality, gently worn kids' clothes, toys, shoes, baby equipment, furniture, and more. You can drop those items off at the NC State Fairgrounds at the Jim Graham Building from 10 until 8 today and 9 to 11 tomorrow morning. The public sale starts Friday and goes through Sunday. Admission is free.
4:48 is the time right now on our Tuesday morning. It is a bitterly cold day out there and more cold temperatures on for the next couple of days, but a WRAL weather alert day because of some precipitation we're going to get. It'll be snow, Elizabeth.
And I'm running across the studio right now, and here is why. Look at this. The Weather Service just expanded our winter weather advisory. So now it does include Wake County. It includes almost the entire viewing area at this point. Just our counties north and west of the Triangle are not included because of just where the storm is coming from. This storm is going to ride up the coast. So the closer you are to the coast, the heavier the snowfall is going to be. It's going to spread back inland, and it's just not going to move across this area. So that's why there's no advisory here. Up to 1.5 inches. I feel sure that this is going to be, even though the amounts are not going to be, 3 to 5 inches in most places, this is still going to be a really high impact event for us tonight because no matter how much snow we see, 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches, it's going to stick and make slippery conditions on the roads. Let's talk about the timeline. We'll show Futurecast starting here at around 3 o'clock. We could start to see some snow falling around Clinton at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. By 5 o'clock, Fayetteville, Clinton, Goldsboro, those eastern counties are starting to see some snowfall. You really are going to need to be wherever you're going to be by 5 o'clock in those eastern counties, and by 6 or 7 for the rest of the viewing area. Look at the coverage of the snow here. This is pretty consistent now, almost 24 hours, showing pretty good coverage for snow. It may be very light, those teeny tiny little flakes, because it's going to be really cold. It's likely to last in the Triangle maybe from around 7 to around 11 or so, and then it starts to pull away by 3 a.m. It's mainly out of the viewing area. Then we'll see some clearing. This is an updated snow potential, a little higher than what we were seeing yesterday, about 1.5 inches in Fayetteville, and maybe up to 1 inch in Raleigh. Those amounts are going to be lighter the farther west you go. And again, we're just, looking at what it could be. So again, anywhere from 1/2 inch around maybe Durham and Warrenton to 1.5 inches around Fayetteville, maybe even a little bit higher than that, closer to Clinton, could be maybe closer to 2 inches. We also have a cold weather advisory for this morning as well. Feeling like 7 to 13. This is the wind chill right now, 6 in South Hill, 13 in Fayetteville. So very cold to start with. And then it'll feel like mid-20s to right around 30 for us this afternoon. Temperatures, of course, right now, Carolina Beach is going to get some significant snowfall. And our temperature currently is 21. It is cold out there this morning as you're headed out. 14 in Roxborough, 20 in Rocky Mount. Our temperature this afternoon, 33 in Raleigh, 30 in Durham, and 36 degrees in Fayetteville. Very cold temperatures again tonight. More wind chills in the single digits. We also have a cold weather advisory for tomorrow morning as well. So biggest impacts are going to be along the coast. We will have slippery conditions overnight tonight. Wednesday morning is going to be tricky. I doubt that there'll be much school across our viewing area on Wednesday morning unless something dramatically changes. We're going to talk more about the situation and how much you may see coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Honoring the lives of 2 Hurricane Helene victims.
They both contributed a lot to the community. They worked hard.
The honor for a couple killed in the storm and their dedication to the community.
And helping young people in Durham, the new Mentor Project launching that will help with employment and education.